This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I have Kevin Scott with me, and it's kind of scary because this guy knows me better than me, I think. And he's like quoting things out of the book and talking about my stories. And so I'm having fun, but I'm also like, wow, this guy's like really paid attention for a long time and listened to a lot of podcasts apparently, and has made a lot of changes. Also, what I find very interesting is we're talking about delegation and automation, and he creates robots to do functions for you. So not only does he have a service where he'll do your closings for you, he'll handle your closing. He also can build robots that can handle, I don't know, like billing, but we're going to let him tell you more about it. How you doing, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm kind of fanboying a little bit here, Mitch, because I've been listening to your show for, it's been over 500 episodes now, and it's just a thrill to be here.
Well, I appreciate it very much. I'm always flattered and honored when someone is that dedicated to my segments. But why? Let's just start with that. Why? Why do you listen to my segments? Because I really want to hear it from you.
Well, because for a long time, I've always known that I want to be a real estate investor. I want to be involved in real estate investment. My wife is a real estate broker here in the Houston area. And, passive income really is the way to go. And, they talk about it in Rich Dad Poor Dad about, your wealth truly is when your passive income meets all your needs and your wants. And then you're really free, right? And more wealth has been made through real estate than any other venture. So that's where I want to be.
Yeah, so, I love that. That definition of financial freedom changed my life. Financial freedom happens when your wants and your needs are exceeded by your passive income, which I changed to cash flow because I don't believe anything's passive, really. But man, what a revelation that was. I guess the biggest thing was I always thought financially free people were billionaires or rich people, but I only needed $3,500 to be financially free. That's rich. So that,
but I was having a conversation with my father-in-law last night where he was saying, how much money do you think I need to have in the bank to retire? And I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. It matters how much cash flow you have coming in on a monthly basis.
Isn't that amazing? How old is your uncle?
He's my father-in-law, and he is 66.
Yeah. 66, man. What do they teach these people in school?
Well, they sure don't teach financial literacy, my friend.
I mean, it just makes me crazy. We're here in the corner of success and opportunity, right in the middle of the greatest infrastructure country in the world. And people are going to their graves, don't understand anything about getting free from the servitude of the dollar.
Yeah, and thanks to you, our conversation last night was about the solo 401k that he just set up, and he's rolling all of his retirement money into that, and he's going to be making use of that as he rolls into his retirement.
Yes. So by the way, if you're interested in that topic, go to taxfreefuture.com. Taxfreefuture.com. There's two ways to go, and they'll probably be sponsoring this episode anyway, so here's their plug. You can get into these retirement funds free, but as you grow your funds and do transactions, they kind of bill you to death. And you'll look up and at the end of the year, you've paid $1,000 or $1,500 or $3,000 for the year as a maintenance fee for these accounts. Or you could pay $1,500 one time through taxfreefuture.com plus your LLC. And then you could have a retirement fund that only costs like $200 a year annually, no matter what it's worth, no matter how many transactions, whatever, and you have checkbook control. So it's much smarter to pay the $1,500 up front and freeze your annual cost than to get in free and let your annual costs just keep floating and growing and growing and growing and growing. So
that is spot on.
That's the idea behind taxfreefuture.com. Thank you very much for sponsoring this tax-free episode. So let's talk about, you're sitting there, you had a job, and then all of a sudden they let you go at your job. That's a real panic point for most people.
That's time to hit the panic button, right? When they come to you and say, thank you so much for all the time and energy you put into helping us grow our business, but we found somebody who's less expensive to do what you do. And, that's the conversation that I had a few weeks ago with my former employer. And over the last couple of years, I have been building a side hustle. And thanks to you and the advice that I've gotten from you over time, by being a listener, I just got started. And so that side business that is now supporting me and my family is the transaction coordination business that you mentioned a little bit ago, where we help residential real estate agents with their contract to close process, right? So they get their transaction under contract, and real estate agents tend to be pretty good at getting deals signed, but what they tend to not be all that great at is following deadlines, following paperwork, and getting all those T's crossed and I's dotted, right? So, I mean, nobody ever went into real estate as a real estate agent saying, I really love paperwork and deadlines, so I'm going to get into real estate, right? So we take care of that burden for them so that they can focus on the activities that generate what we call the 4 C's: more clients, contracts, closings, and commissions for them. And when you think about it, it's something that is also directly applicable to the individual real estate investor.
I like that, the 4 C's. You need to be focusing on what makes the money, and quit hanging out in the supporting areas that support the making the money. I mean, there's a certain amount of things that generate the money. Right. Client contracts. What'd you say? Clients, contracts,
commissions, and closings.
Closings and commissions. Yeah, in that order. So if it's not to do with that, you should really be trying to delegate it out. So for this segment, to get over to the show notes, anything we mention, anything we talk about, go to 1000houses.com, get help ! And, if you need some help with your transactions, or if you want a robot built to handle some functions in your office, or if you don't even know what functions your office is doing that you might be able to get a robot for, why don't you get over to 1000houses.com/get help! And have a conference call or have a call with Kevin and see, because man, automation is a wonderful thing. I digress. Let's go back to transaction coordinator.
Sure.
You said real estate agents, but I understand, because you've even called on my company. We have someone in that chair because we're a much bigger organization, but you would also do closings for real estate investors. They're not any different, right?
That's right. I did, and I have. And so typically when a real estate agent is starting out, it's just themselves, right? And they get to 1 transaction a month, 2 transactions a month, and they can handle that. But when it starts kind of getting over 2 to 3 and 4, it's hard to keep all those details straight. But they still aren't making enough money to hire someone to be their transaction coordinator. And so we help them to bridge that gap from, hey, it's just me, and I know I need to grow, but I need help, to, okay, now I'm at the point where I've got enough income and I can hire somebody to handle that for me. And what we do for our clients is, once they've grown to that point, we allow them to hire their in-house transaction coordinator and plug that person into our systems and processes so that they can continue without missing a beat. And if for some reason that person gets sick or goes on vacation or quits or whatever, then our team can step in and continue to provide that support until that person is replaced on that end. So that's kind of the end story of, the bringing people in, having them as our clients, and then helping them grow past needing our services.
Yeah, so that's a very honorable thing that you help people grow past, but I imagine a lot of people really see the value in your service and will hang on, because service is almost dead in this country. It's horrible. And if you have a company that gives good service, people will hang on to you just because they like to be reminded of what service was really like.
That's right. That's so true.
I mean, sometimes I go to a place that has great service. I don't care how much extra it costs. I just wanted the service. Show me again what service looks like, because I have forgotten.
Yeah. We started a little over 2 years ago just here in Texas. And now we have clients in, I think, 22 or 23 states. And the process that we've set up, while it's great in Texas, it's great in every single state, to the point that we received an endorsement from a national coaching company who specializes in coaching real estate agents from coast to coast. and they recommend us as the only transaction coordinator that they think their clients should use.
That's great, man. So let's talk about one of the successes or one of your successful transaction coordinator, someone who uses that service. Tell me.
Sure. So my first client was my wife, because she knew she needed a transaction coordinator, but didn't know how to find one. And so she said, go find me a transaction coordinator, Kevin, just get me one. And I went out and found one, and she was good for a while. But Mitch, she was a one person show and one man deep. And when her business grew to the point where she couldn't keep up with it, she started dropping the ball and making mistakes that were taking dollars out of my wife's pockets. And so my wife turned to me and said, Kevin, I need a transaction coordinator that I can trust, and congratulations, you're it.
Wow. So you got charged with the duties, huh?
That's right. And so at the time, I was a process and automation specialist in the oil and gas industry. And so I took those skills and I applied them to this transaction coordination task. And I grew to the point where here I am today. And I knew that I didn't want to make the mistake of getting overwhelmed as a one person deep show. So I built it from the beginning with the idea that I would bring in other people on my team and share that load. And now I've got 4 transaction coordinators that work for me, and we provide great service to everyone that comes to the door.
Okay, so what might I expect to pay if I have I got a deal that's closing, and you're and I want to preface it so that everybody knows I'll do this work for you, Kevin. This is the price today, you know. It's like October the 5th, 2021. The man has the right to change his prices or adjust anytime you want to. But as of this conversation, what's it running right now to close a deal? Tell me how it would work.
As of this conversation, our contract to close is $399 per transaction. And that takes you from you have it under contract, you send us the contract, and we take care of it from there all the way to closing. The only thing that we cannot do for you is negotiate terms of the contract. But we can take care of all of the conversations and the routine communications that need to happen to get that thing to the closing table. We interface with title and inspectors and appraisers if there are appraisers involved. And we let you focus on going out and finding the next deal. You as a real estate agent or as a real estate investor, you're not watching your inbox all day, right? So when something comes in that is urgent, you may not see it for a while, but we see it almost immediately. And if it's something that we can't take care of for you, we will text you, we will call you, we will make sure you know that there's something that needs your attention.
That happens to me all the time. Email, people send me things that were important. It's like, man, send me a text when you send me an email, because it's like a never-ending pool of big dark hole, you know. I need to probably get a email manager for myself. But so when you do the coordinations for $399, I mean, if you're a good realtor, a good closer, a good shower, whatever, I mean, this is way worth your time. If you ask, for me, like to move on to the next deal, not have to deal with this minutia, calling and scheduling an appraiser or finding out when it's coming in or dinging them, you know, like, when am I going to get it? When am I going to get it? When am I going to get it? To me, there's no better thing to delegate than stuff like that. I hate stuff like that.
Well, and you think about it from the perspective of the dollar value of your time, right? A busy real estate agent, they're making $300 to $400 an hour that they are working. So if they spend the average of 6 to 10 hours per transaction on this administrivia type of stuff, that's work that they shouldn't be doing because of the opportunity cost of what they could and should be doing, which is going and getting more deals.
Yeah, it's called don't work below your pay grade, right?
Exactly right.
Yes. So there's one way, and this would be especially helpful again, if you're a one-man show, a two-man show, you're just starting to outrun your infrastructure. You can use it temporarily, or you could bring it in permanently as the piece that does, you know, this for you. When I say temporarily, you might just need it until you find the right person to be the central administrator in your office and do it. But, you know, that comes with a whole nother set of problems too. Now you got payroll and matching payroll and benefits and everything. Like, you're just a vendor, right? So there's none of that with you.
That's right. And the other thing that's really important to point out, and this is something that I learned from you, because there's a lot of people in my industry who don't do this, and that is, if you don't get paid, we don't get paid. So if for some reason that deal falls out, you're not going to get an invoice from us. We want to be paid on success.
That might be the magic of this whole conversation. You only have to pay when the money hits the table. You don't have to pay this person that week when you're on vacation and nothing came in, or whatever the case may be. This is a really big point. When you pay per transaction, there's a lot of peace of mind there. If you hire a transaction coordinator, you better start producing, because she needs her paycheck every 2 weeks or every Friday. You can't sit down now. You can't stop. And imagine that's only one piece of the puzzle. So I always like to teach to make sure that as many hands as you need are getting paid upon success and not salary. Because if you get too many salaries going, you're just like a hamster on this wheel, and you can't get off.
Right.
And it's a way to live.
And how many businesses have fallen underneath the weight of the infrastructure and the overhead that they've built over themselves, right? We're in a great time right now in the real estate industry, but it's not going to last, right? Eventually the market will turn. And if you have increased your overhead, it's going to hurt when the transaction count falls.
Well, not even to mention the personal anxiety of having to let someone go who depends on a check.
That's right.
So you hire these people, you get them going during the boom times, but as we know, there are cycles. And when we hit a low time, you either got to start burning your cash in your savings account to hold on to everybody, or you got to let people go. Heaven forbid you burn through all your cash and then have to let them go. That's the worst case scenario. We got to make faster decisions than that. So this is a good kind of solution. It's a third-party vendor that will handle your transactions. You pay upon success.
Yeah.
I love my acquisition people and my salespeople. They get paid upon success. So I'm never reaching in my pocket. If I've got an acquisition guy, when I pay for the house, I borrow the money to pay for them too. And then I have a basis in the property. And now I'm out trying to make a profit on top of that. And then when the salesman sells it, someone brings a down payment and he gets paid out of that. And that's two huge pieces that I don't have to lay awake at night and wonder, like, when is it going to slow down and these people are going to get disenchanted? So let's switch gears into robots.
Sure. So in my previous job, the one that I was just laid off from, my entire function there was to build and lead a team that created robots for our employer. And these robots can do anything that you and I can do on a computer. When you think about automation, right, you usually think about the computer nerds who are, there's one computer nerd at company A and there's another one at company B, and they got to talk to each other and make sure that their computer systems can all interface and all of those things get done, right? So you have to wait for them to get that right. But the robots that we build are based on the user interface. So they interact with the systems in the exact same way that you and I do, by reading the screen and sending keystrokes and mouse clicks. I'll give you a really good example. We have an automation right now running today for a real estate investor that goes out to a number of different law firm websites in Texas, and it reads the PDFs of the properties that are going to the tax auction in the following month. It goes through and it pulls out just the information that we need on those specific properties. And then it goes to the tax site of the county in question and pulls out a little bit more information about each one of those properties. And then it goes to Zillow and pulls out a little bit more information. And then it takes all those disparate inputs and consolidates them into one single commonly formatted output that goes to the investor. And he loves it, because this is a process that he and his team have been doing up until recently manually. And now they don't have to do it anymore because the robot's doing it for them.
Wow, amazing. So I imagine it could do your cash flow analysis. It could do you know, your comparative analysis to see what properties are worth. I imagine you can do a lot of different things, anything really.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, it can do anything, right? But it helps to have specific use cases. And the process that is ideal for automation is a process that is repeatable, it is redundant, and honestly, that sucks. I'll give you another really great example. My wife has a lead source that on purpose does not have a way to take leads out of this lead source website and put them into her CRM because they want her working in their system. And so what I did was I built a robot that logs in using her credentials, and then it looks for all the new leads that are waiting for her, and it clicks into each one of those. It reads the contact information, and then it goes into her CRM and does all the data entry for her into her CRM system.
Wow. Wow.
So when you think about things like list stacking and, you know, going to the county websites, looking for probate suits, divorce suits, things like that, the robot is ideal for doing that because it's the same thing every time with maybe a little bit of difference each time that we can handle through smart coding of the robot.
Okay, so talk to me about a program that goes into the courthouse and pulls out some things. I know this is an open-ended question, but try to answer it the best you can. Sure. So we have an idea. But how much does it cost for me to get a robot to do a task for me? I know that's a wide open question. I don't want to be stupid. But how much, can you give me an example of one thing you did for somebody and like how much it cost? Or
Sure. So the way that we charge for the robot is we charge based on the robot's time, right? So when the robot starts doing something for you, it starts the stopwatch, and then it keeps track of how much time is elapsed between when it starts and when it ends, and then it deducts that amount from your time bank. And when you think about this, think about the fastest typist in the world. The robot is faster than that. When you think about an employee or even a contractor that you might pay to do that, they're not working for you 100% of the time. They're taking smoke breaks, they're checking Facebook, they're doing whatever they're doing. The robot is working for you 100% of that time. And so we charge $100 per hour of robot operating time. But when you think about the robot is working roughly 10 to 20 times faster than a person can, it gets down to the level of a VA, the cost.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I imagine it can burn through a set of files in a couple of hours that would take a VA all day long to figure out.
That's right. And, you know, I had a conversation recently with somebody who was questioning that. And I said, listen, I am willing to take that Pepsi challenge. Give me a task that your VAs are doing today and let them do it, time them, see how long it takes them to get that done. And then let's have my robot do it. Just don't tell them that they're being tested. And I guarantee you the robot is going to crush them.
Yeah. And how did it turn out?
Well, we haven't done that yet. I haven't had any takers just yet.
Yeah, they all know. What's the use? Why even bother? Why even bother? I know these people are not focused, you know?
That's right. So this is the business that, you know, you've said a lot of times that you take the exhaust from one business and you take that and you have that feed another business. Well, that's what I'm doing here, right? I'm taking the sawdust that's coming out of my TC business and I'm turning it into Pressboard in the automation business, because there were a lot of things in my business where, you know, when this task comes up and it's ready to be done, it's the same thing every time. You click here, you click there, you check that, okay, it's done. Now we move on to the next thing. So I've taken a lot of those tasks in my business and I've automated the crap out of it so that my team can be more productive on the things that absolutely need their attention and their judgment calls to do. So we're using the right tool for the job. We use the humans to do the things that only the humans can do, and we use the robots to do the things that the robots can do.
Yeah, that humans shouldn't even be doing, right?
Exactly right.
All right, my friend, are you giving away anything, or do you have a free consult or something?
Yes, we do have a giveaway, and I understand that, you know, handing over a transaction to somebody on a promise is somewhat difficult to do. So we have a free offer for your listeners, right? they come in and they come in on the transaction coordination side of the house and they want to give us a try, we'll do 2 transactions for them absolutely free. There's no credit cards, no tricks, no gimmicks. Truly, if you don't think it's worth paying for, then we'll part ways as friends, because we don't ask for a commitment or a contract, because if we're not providing value to you, we don't deserve your money. So that's what we're doing on the transaction side. On the automation side, normally we charge a $500 fee to develop the process for you. For your listeners, we'll cut that to $100 just to get started. And
well, that'll
take care of.
Amazing. That's an amazing offer. Both of those offers are amazing. So thank you very much.
No problem.
And let that be a lesson to you listeners out there. Like, sometimes we get a special deal for you for sure. I mean, it's not contrived. It's just, we work together with different people's audiences and they want to tempt you to come meet them. So they give a pretty good introductory offer. And I think both of those offers are really good. All right. I don't hang up before we get off of here, because I want to talk to you about getting a meeting with my office and finding out what we can automate, because I am sure there are things that I haven't even dreamt of yet that need to be automated at my office, and that will probably help my office tremendously. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation. That was part of what I did for my former employer was to look at your processes and identify the opportunities for automation. And the team that I was leading there, we returned to the bottom line of my company more than 5x our entire cost, and that included our salaries. So we're really confident that once we take a look, we can find things to put some money on your bottom line.
All right. Again, go to 1000houses.com. Get help! Exclamation point. Okay. Get help! Exclamation point. Go over there and try a couple of transactions with them. See how you like it. He's offering you 2 transactions free. Is that what I heard?
2 transactions for free. I'm still going to pay my people because they do good work and they need to be paid. But I am so confident that you're going to be thrilled with it that I'll give you 2 for free and I'll make it up in the long term.
Yeah. And then if you think you need some automation in the form of a robot, call him up and give him a chance to look at your system, look at what you're doing, look at your daily workload. What are you doing? And don't be surprised, and don't discount him. Just because you can't think of what can be automated doesn't mean he can't, because he's a pro. He can see things that you're not going to be able to see. Like, what did you just do over there? Well, I did X, Y, and Z. You don't need to do that.
That's right. You shouldn't be doing that. It is right for automation. So we have that conversation all the time.
All right, my friend, I really appreciate you. I like the book you have on your back.
You like that? This guy sent it to me once. He even signed it.
So I have a new book, just so you know, and the listeners out there. It's called The Art of Private Lending, where I teach people how to lend money, their own money, and how they can make 12, 14, 16, 18%, whatever's, you don't want to get usurious in your state or whatever.
Sure.
Talk about all that.
Thanks to you, I am a private lender. I was a private lender to one of your deals not too long ago, and I was thrilled with the outcome and looking forward to more.
So I just here's the nugget of the day. So I wrote this book with Mike Powell, and it's not a big thick book. What is it, about 121 pages? Okay, it's the basics, and it basically shows people how to take their IRA funds or whatever, roll them over into a self-directed fund, and then start making loans with the kind of collateral and protectionism that you want, the risk level that you want, instead of just throwing yourself to Wall Street and hoping they do a good job. But then about 3/4 of the way, it's like, you can do all this, but you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and go to work. You're going to have to find a customer. You're going to have to size up the deal. You're going to have to figure out what the collateral is worth. And, you're going to have to go to work. Or you can just loan me your money at, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. And I'll do everything for you. And I'll include all this protectionism that I was telling you to protect yourself. I'll include all that. And you can just keep playing golf. So as a nugget, I'm using the book to help find private lenders for myself. In the process, I'm sure a certain amount of people will use the book to go start their own private lending business, and I'll never meet them. And that's fine. And they'll go off and make 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18% rate of return on their money, but they'll be working. And then there'll be this other set of people that are like, sounds really good, but I don't want to work anymore. I'm done working. My job is to fish every day. So here, Mitch, you take my money and give me 8 or 9 or 10%, and I'll be more than happy. And I just want to keep fishing or playing golf. And so there's the tactic of the day. So
that book, and what I really appreciate about you is that one of the things that you've mentioned many times over the course of me listening to you is the idea of, it's good to be successful, but it's important to pay it forward. And that book is one of the ways that you're paying it forward. And I really appreciate that about you. And I wanted to tell you about a conversation that I had just this past weekend, where I was standing in a house that we had put under contract for $150,000. And when it's fixed up, it's going to be worth a heck of a lot more. And I turned to my 11-year-old daughter and I explained to her what we were doing and why she should be investing her money in this venture with us. And she was standing there and she started asking the contractors questions about, well, what kind of work are you going to do here in the kitchen? What are you going to do in the living room? And how much is that going to cost? And it was really kind of a proud father moment to know that my kid is kind of marinating in this real estate investing stuff. She's already a partner for us in one of our rentals. She gets a little bit of rent from that every single month. She put $500 in it and she gets 5 back every month because that's the chunk of the deal that she bought.
Yeah. So how old is she?
She's 11.
What a wonderful thing. There's the education that they're not getting at school. The right. Fiscal education. They don't know. They don't know what to do. They don't know. If a person would start out at a young enough age, just making sure they invested 10% of their money from the very beginning, whatever it was they made, whenever they made it, or like using the Acorn app where every time you buy something on a credit card, it throws $1 or $2 into your savings account. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To your IRA or whatever. Yeah. I mean, money that would never be missed, that would one day turn into tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, or maybe even millions of dollars would start. The problem is it's always so daunting to start out with nothing. And if you start early enough, those pennies will add up and you'll never start with nothing again because it will always have something in it, and early enough, And then, of course, it helps if, like you help your kids somehow figure out how to make the first $500 so they can get their snowball. Yeah. You know what I mean?
She had invested, she'd taken, birthday money and stuff like that and kind of built it up. She had a bunch of money in her little purse, right? And she was asking me, how do I make more money, Dad? And I said, well, here's a great way that you can make more money. Now, she had already invested in this rental, right? So she was getting her $5 a month. And I said, why don't you go outside and mow the lawn, and I'll pay you the $50 that I would have paid somebody else to do it. So she found out pretty quickly that it was a lot of work, and she wanted to quit halfway through. I said, no, ma'am, I don't pay you for an incomplete job. You have to finish. So that night in bed, I told her, okay, so think about the money that you made today. Here's the $50 for the lawn, and here's the $5 from your rental. And so now, which flavor of this money is the best?
It was the $5. She made it doing nothing.
Yeah. So she was like, I had to do a lot of work for the $50. It's more than the $5. But I didn't have to do any work for the $5. So I want to figure out how to get more of these $5. So when's your next deal, Dad? Can I put more money in the house? It's not quite how it works, but I'll include you in the next one, sweetie.
Man, that's a great story. That actually should be documented a little bit, even if it's only 25 pages, or just your thought process there, because I think a lot of people could use that. I think a lot of people have kids and don't really have an idea of a lot of people don't know how to make money themselves. So, but I'm saying, but might even be teaching the adults a thing or two. So.
Well, I just want her to have the idea, and she does now, that passive income is the best kind of income to have.
Yeah. All right, my friend, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on. Again, go to 1000houses.com/get help with an exclamation point. And that'll get you over to the show notes. You can get your 2 free transaction coordinations done so you can see how it goes, how it works. Try them out. It's quite a bold offer. You have nothing to lose. And then also call them and get some consultation on see what a robot might do for you in your business. All right, my friends, this is Mitch Stephen with 1000houses.com. I'd like to thank you all for stopping by to get you some Kevin Scott. And also, I would like to thank livecom.com, LIVECOMM.com. There's a reason why my houses average 4 days on the market. The last 250 houses, they average 4 days on the market. And I use no signs, not even one in the front yard. There's a reason why. Go watch the video on the homepage at livecom.com. This Livecom works for all kinds of businesses. They are smartphone numbers. They are lead generators. They help sales. It's an amazing, amazing technology that once you wrap your head around how it works, you start to see how it can do all kinds of things for you and all kinds of different businesses. So check it out, livecom.com, LIVECOMM.com. All right, this is Mitch Stephen. We're out of here. Bye, Kevin.
Thanks, Mitch.